talking all that bullshit. I'ma put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but it's not limited to, my boy Hunt. What's poppin', Hunt?
Hey, I'm just out here dodging some stray bullets. I'm all good.
I mean, it's hard.
I've been doing well.
You just gotta dodge.
You're like the king of that, you know. You just catching strays.
Well, I guess
you
I'm
should
not,
be dead by now.
I'm not the king of
bullets
dodging them. I'm the king of catching stray bullets.
Right.
I mean, to be fair,
failing to dodge.
To be fair, you guys all equally catch strays. The only difference is Hunt never gets an apology.
Oh, yeah.
Have I caught some strays? Not really.
Yeah,
Kessler fucked you up.
I mean, Kessler, yeah.
Kessler fucked you up. JMO posted your package.
Easy.
JMO posted your package from the summer.
He posted your dick?
He posted my package from the summer. Recently?
Yeah, in one of these long threads, basically saying like they can't even buy because he was charging markup to the collective as opposed to us just taking it all.
I made everybody a bunch of money last summer. I'm gonna do it again this summer.
This is like the part that I think is like worth talking about to some degree, and you know, you guys can give your opinion on it because obviously, like, I'm in a point of pretty much indifference, but in a lot of instances, I think that it's just generally better for everybody to kind of rely. Whoa. Easy, big guy. Fucking blinded me. I just think it's like generally better for people to kind of like do their own thing, and then whenever necessary, like myself or others in the group will like sweep the floor for whatever's left. Like, we'll just take whatever's left. You know what I mean? Like, and you always have that insurance. Like, we'll just always take whatever's left. But it seems crazy to create some sort of reliance where like just one person in the group is just like always on the hook for 100% of everybody's action.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't seem,
over the long run.
Yeah,
it just doesn't seem necessary. Like, I don't feel like there's any reason to do it that way.
I also just like know this isn't how people operate.
And listen, like, like, you know, not to brag, but people want my action.
Right.
No, I mean, like, so like a lot of people, like, people were mad last year. They were like, they said, make sure you save me a piece because I want to have a sweat of you in the summer. Right. So like, save me X percent. I'm like,
right. And like for me, like, I don't care.
Right.
Not that I don't care about you getting in events and stuff like that.
Right.
It's just it's such a nominal amount.
Yeah. That's
not going to make or break my P&L at the end of the year either way.
Of course.
So it's like,
right. If I had trouble selling action, you would take whatever. Like,
right.
it's
And
not
also,
like, and you do take a big piece.
You already have
right.
2 all clauses. Like, 2 people, I would say all. They take all. So
right.
it doesn't even matter.
And you're also going to be sweating.
One of them being
anyway.
Berkey.
Right.
Right.
That's the other thing. Like, you're going to be sweating your friends regardless.
Right.
So someone else who wants to have like a reason to sweat him, like because they bought a piece, like, you don't need that extra reason because you're going to be there to like sweat when he makes a deep run.
Yeah. We're also not
and it's like a 20, like you said, it's a 20 or 25K package. It's not like something huge. And it's people are like, well, if it's a good buy, then why wouldn't you just scoop it all up? Like, well, for the reasons we just said.
It's also like, we're not 25, right? We're not like, we already supported each other all throughout our careers.
Yeah.
Like, you're recreational at this point.
No.
Yeah. Well, you're a wreck, man. I'm sorry. You are.
I'm a whale.
Are we about to have some conflict here?
I think he's trying to debate with me how much of a wreck he is.
Oh, okay.
But like, you know, at the end of it all, it's like, if you were putting in 2,000 hours a year, I'd be happy to commit a lot more of a financial interest in it.
Right.
Like, but it's just like, who cares at the end of the day? I mean, I think he keeps like defaulting back to like, well, when the evil empire was coming up and Doug was taking on all comers, we just wrote blank checks to him because we believed in our boy. And it's like, okay, yeah, but like, you know, he was also the head of this crew. He was the best player of that crew. You know what I mean? It's like, it wasn't the inverse. It wasn't like whoever was the lowest on that totem pole was taking on all comers and Doug was writing a blank check every single day. Like, that's not the way that it works. Of course, you're going to invest the most in the person that is performing the best. And that's a no-brainer. he kept like trying to equate that we didn't have faith in Landon because Landon's trying to sell outside of the group at ICM. But it's like,
who has time to to go through all this shit and try to what do you scroll back through my Twitter?
No, somebody did it for him.
Yeah,
some troll, some random
I guess,
crypto bro did it for him.
I don't get it.
Continually, every time I get someone takes shots at me for no reason, I just think,
and you're the person.
Why the fuck do you care?
You
honestly.
Out of everybody, least deserve it. You do not deserve any of this stuff.
I certainly don't make an effort to be out there being confrontational.
No, of course not.
But here I am.
You're just out there trying to better the community, help people along the way, and then you just get shit for it. It's so fucked up.
That's this community, I guess.
Yeah.
It tells you a lot about this community.
I think a big part of it is, we spoke about this on Monday's show when we talked about it, but I think a big part of it is the way that the people who are qualified enough to look at coaching content and decide what its value is are so far removed from the stage of the audience that the content's created for that they lose sight of whatever value it could potentially be offering.
Yeah.
So they look at it and they go, oh, I mean, I could create an iPhone app that reads a PO chart and it would be the same as what Hunt is doing for his students. And it's like, A, that's not entirely true. But B, even if it were true, that app you saying that you could create would be immensely valuable to the people that we're targeting.
Also, it doesn't exist.
Correct.
Therefore, I call bullshit on the idea that you could build it
and
sell it
too.
for $10.
That's what I said too.
Because if you could and make money off that, it would already exist.
Of course.
It doesn't.
Of course. And obviously even humans, how would you build the algorithm? Humans in general are pretty shit at reading data outputs, specifically for things like PO that are very nuanced and don't have a one-to-one correlation between the math and the language. Right. So it's what I may interpret as a solver doing something due to a blocker score, somebody else may interpret it as the solver doing something, reflective of the range morphology at that point or whatever. And both could be right. One could be wrong. One could be right. You know what I mean? It's what are you writing into the program? What are you coding to have it spit out this information? Right. It's kind of like the AI that Chip Leader has, where it's literally just chances and Foxen's perception of how tournament poker works. Hijack versus button, single raise pot, hijack bets on a 6-high board, and we have 8s. Blunder for not raising because this is a high frequency c-bet spot. It's in what world? In the observed world, I guess could be, sure, but you're not going to find any theory to back that.
Right. And without going too far into flipping it around and starting to take shots at other training sites.
that wasn't my intent.
No,
there,
I know. That's what I mean. I think that above all, the thing that I always come back to whenever anything like this happens, because it's happened at least 3 times now, that some person with apparently more of a profile than me in the community has decided to randomly take shots at me, is just that I've never had any negative constructive feedback from somebody whose opinion I actually respect about what I do.
Same.
I have never had somebody who I respect come to me and say, hey, this thing that you said in a video, I think it's actually a little bit wrong, or I think you should reframe how you're presenting this concept or whatever, right? I've only ever had people who maybe have a bigger profile than me, but do they know better than me how to explain this stuff? I don't know. I've only ever had those people say, hey, you're a nobody, or whatever it was he said, you're an ogre or something. What the fuck is that? What does that mean?
Right.
Yeah, I weigh 220 pounds. Big fucking deal. Does that make me an ogre? What the hell? But anyway, beyond that, I've never had people that I respect say anything critical. And on the flip side, I have had people that I respect say, hey, this video you made was really good. I've had players I respect in my DMs on Twitter saying, hey, what do you think about this concept? Do you want to, do a Zoom call and talk about this concept sometime? I've had players at the table that I respect, coaches from other sites tell me, hey, your stuff is really good. I really like the way you think about the game and all this shit. That matters to me.
Sure.
The opinion of a random dude I literally don't know his name on Twitter does not matter at all.
Yeah, I'm very much in the same camp. And obviously, I have a certain sense of guilt whenever this occurs because for what it's worth, like I know that it looks like I'm always the instigator, but that hasn't really.
I know you're not.
I definitely didn't instigate this one, and I would confidently say I didn't instigate the D-Negs one either.
No,
right? I mean, I might have stoked the fire once it started going.
Was just, I mean, with the D-Negs one, all you did was just tweet about a course I made. And D-Negs was in the replies like, this guy sucks. This guy doesn't beat 10Ks. Like,
right.
This guy isn't out there grinding, like whatever.
To be fair, I knew that was coming. So I certainly take some share of the blame there.
Well, that does make it feel a little bit more like being thrown under the bus.
I shouldn't say I knew it was coming that he was going to trash you. I just knew it was coming that he was going to amplify that post.
Okay.
Which was the biggest reason why I did it. But like going back to the origin of it, where it was just like, okay, this tweet is really bad advice. And then finding out that the example given was also just like a really poorly played hand. And then leaning on even further where it's just like, we have another example of a poorly played hand where nines just check folds on ace high, whatever. It's like, sure, I just keep like pointing out these criticisms or whatever, but that's, you know, we're subject to that as well. Like we all take plenty of fucking bashing for the way that we play, and it's just like you take it in stride because either you care or you don't, kind of thing. And that was like what we mentioned on Monday was there are these nameless, faceless people that are being accredited with discrediting you. The super duper duper high stakes guys think that your site is a joke and think that Matt Hunt is a joke, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, what did he fucking do? You know, like, fuck, I think they're a joke. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here?
Put me
like,
in touch with these super duper high stakes guys, and they can give me all their detailed feedback about all the things I got wrong.
Right.
You know?
And behind
like,
the curtain comes Ryan Fee and Doug Polk. And
like,
it's just like, who fucking cares?
Yeah. Let Doug tell me all the stuff I got wrong about an MTT video I made.
Right.
With a guy who hasn't played an MTT in fucking whoever knows how long.
Right.
Like, it's, you know, it's just like, it's never actual feedback from people who I respect and who, you know what they're talking about, that are telling me you don't know what you're talking about. It's the opposite. So that's why I just don't concern myself with it.
The last thing I'll say is that it's funny that the entire back and forth, and for what it's worth, like it was minimal. It was just like a lot of JMO venting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following everything that goes in our group chat, and it definitely seems like it's a lot, just like an endless stream of like consciousness from him, and you know, a little bit of like limited feedback from you. Yeah.
It was funny. I like refrained from replying to a bunch, but the word slander just kept getting thrown around over and over and over again.
I don't think you know what that means, buddy.
Yeah, it's like, we're being slanderous. Why? Like, what are you talking about? We didn't say anything, but there's a paragraph that you just wrote that bare minimum, I'm certain could be proven to hurt our bottom line, which would be liable.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, not that I give a flying fuck or would ever go that route, but whenever you start to throw around legal terms, at least have some sort of semblance of an idea of what
like,
the fuck is going on.
What's the slander? What's going to happen? Like, we called him an idiot. So, like, is he going to get up in a court of law and prove that he's not an idiot? Like, is that what's going to happen? Like, come on.
I don't even think that would be the funny part. I think the funny part would actually just be like having to submit that to a judge. Be like, excuse me, Your Honor, in front of 10,000 people, this man called me an idiot.
Yes.
And so it says your Twitter handle is Cunty Cakes.
Yeah. I mean, to get my own final word on this, the only thing I will say beyond that as well is I really want to win a fucking bracelet this year. Yeah. I really just want to rip off something and put something on Twitter.
Very prime.
Fuck you to everybody.
Very prime for big summer for everybody.
That's the plan. That is the plan.
It's kind of weird because I think you and Landon had like break-even-ish summers last year.
Yeah. I mean, I had a winning one. I definitely had a winning one because I had two 50K plus scores. So.
Right, which is, that was where I was going with this.
Yeah.
Very under the radar, right? Like, it kind of is bracelet or bust.
Yeah.
You know, like, I had a massive summer. I broke even in MTTs over like 100K worth of buy-ins, and then I won like 700K in cash.
Yeah.
With a 400K downswing in the midst of all that. So, like, that's a wild ride for 45 days.
Summer, yeah.
Yeah. And that's only, I think I played like 3 sessions of 100, 200, and that was all the downswing.
Wow.
Like, so everything was 100, 100. And there's just like, you know, when the dust settles and you're looking at August 1st in the face, all you get to do is take a breath of relief and say like, man, that was nice. It would be good to take a couple week vacation here. Yeah. There's no fucking There's no flexing. There's no posting. There's no media that's covering this. Nobody's outside of Bobby's room writing down your P&L for the summer. There's no chart or anything along those lines. Like, you just put your head down, get to work, and do your job. And I think so much of the coaching marketing space, the reason why so much of it is MTT based, and honestly, this can partially be, I'll take like partial blame for this. This could be a big reason why you're always thrown under the bus and you never hear any of the Jay Little guys thrown under the bus or the Jocka guys or whatever. It's because our site doesn't market to a specific discipline.
Yeah.
Right? So much of what we tried to build is principle based. And it's literally just, I don't care what you're playing. There's always going to be this underlying theory that's very critical to learn. I was talking to Laskowitz about this the other day, where we were kind of discussing the way that we frame out, not just the way we study, but the way we think about the game. And he kind of said his piece, I kind of said my piece, and it was very clear that we just logically think about the game at a bottom line level the same. And it's a top-down approach, right? It's just like, okay, well, we think in terms of how ranges work based off of the action taken, the formations, things along those lines. Then we think about the interaction with the textures, and finally we arrive at like blockers and removal and things along those lines. And these things are very important.
Yeah.
Everything else is going to be a mechanic. You know, it's like sizing matters, of course, but like within a range. You know, if you drastically miss it to one extreme or the other, I'm going to call that a non-size. I'm going to try to get to the bottom of what's going on. But at the end of it all, like we're always defaulting back to these certain principles that can absolutely be fucking taught. So when somebody comes out of the woodwork that I know has consumed exactly zero of our content and says your site's absolute trash, all of the high stakes guys think it's trash also, who have also consumed exactly zero of our content, it's just like, well, I don't know what you want me to say to that other than keep it moving. You know, just don't watch, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty comfortable with what we put out. I'm pretty proud of the product that we've produced. I'm pretty happy with everybody that has come through. And again, the same kind of thing. The only negative feedback I seem to hear is from people who have literally consumed zero of our content.
Or if they have, it was like 5 years ago, or like when.
Yeah, they saw a random Poker Out Loud from year one in 2017
Right,
that we put out for entertainment purposes, and they're like, "You guys are all shit." It's like everybody who's like laying out negative criticism just doesn't like me. But that was the funny thing that I find about these interactions is they skip over me and then they attack you. Like D-Negs tried to take a little shot where it's just like, you don't play MTTs, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You can't tell me what I can and cannot fold for one big blind. It's like, well, you're right, I don't play MTTs. That's still bad.
Yeah.
You know, that should tell you how bad it is, because I don't play MTTs.
What was funny about that one in particular was when that first discussion was going on, I posted one reply to him when he was talking about it that was genuinely trying to approach it in a respectful, reasonable way. I was like, Daniel, are you aware that a solver actually can solve for not only the flop decision, but what happens if you assume your opponent is going to barrel X number of turns or whatever?
Right.
Are you aware that all the things you're saying a solver can't do, it actually can do?
Right.
I was referring to the new version of PO, which can do all of that. He didn't reply.
Right.
He just blanked it.
Right,
I was like,
because he's not aware.
Well, yeah. At that point, I was like, okay, he blanked this. That means he's not aware, which means that he's just doubling down on this response that he's had of the solver is wrong, the solver is wrong, without recognizing that actually there's a little bit more to this than he might have first assumed.
Right, and we did go through the rigmarole to just demonstrate like all of his assumptions. Node locking for Jesse like tripling off at like a 90+% frequency. Node locking for him being too wide. All the things that were assumed to be true. Node locking for him to having a high concentration of all ace X, like pure ace X opens and things like that. Nines became more of a continue. It actually started raising.
It started doing shit like call flop, check raise turn, and stuff like that. It's like check raise turn to fold out all of his barrels and all this stuff because he's overfolding to the check raise and all sorts of weird shit. So
and it's like, okay, hey, everybody's got blind spots, man. You know, that's the beauty of this game. That's why we're all out here playing, because nobody's fucking perfect. That's why we're running a Strat Chat episode today, because we're probably going to learn something along the ways. And if we don't, hopefully the audience will in some sort of capacity. But when you're too goddamn arrogant to be able to accept your place in whatever this is, like that's the irony, is that Daniel he would be a Mount Rushmore face of the community if he just had like one iota of humbleness to him, right? If he actually became the man of the people that he was at one point in time, guy is just like universally loved. But instead, he got to a point of just like being a corporate shill, and it became fuck the pros, and everybody who was nipping at his heels became a fucking problem.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well then, you know, there's going to be a lot of clashing going on. I never in my life thought that I was going to end up on the other side of a beef with Daniel the way that Doug did, because I was super pro Daniel throughout all of that. And it's just like, well, now I kind of fucking get it.
Yeah.
You know, the guy's just so goddamn hard-headed. He's unable to budge in any sort of capacity, and every single day he starts gravitating more and more and more towards the list. When you look at the list of the people that have beef, I couldn't be more proud of the stance that we take. It's like Vertucci, D-Negs, Polk.
If these are the people that we're
Person,
opposing, like, yeah,
right?
exactly, right.
J-Mo, like, okay, like fucking whatever, man.
Right.
You know, these aren't exactly the people in the community that like have the best interests of everybody in mind. Nobody's out singing their praises for being saints in the poker space.
Exactly. Did I tell you the really funny part about what I didn't say to Daniel when he tried to big time me, and his responses were like, "I don't know if we've played together. I don't reckon." I didn't tell you. Okay.
No.
So I told him, yeah, we played. You know, I sat next to you in a 10K one time. And you asked me if I was gingy poker or whatever.
Yeah,
right? Like, I told him that. I didn't tell him that the one hand we played against each other, I triple barreled him with 6 high and he folded. I thought about just telling him the exact hand history just to be like, just to refresh your memory, here's the spot where you folded. But I decided to hold back. But that was the funny part.
The best hand.
I possibly did. But
Really? You had 6 high. I don't think you did.
No, probably not. But you know, it was just a blind on blind spot where it was like, I bet the flop, he led the turn, I raised, he called, I bet the river, he folded. I just remember being like, I just bluffed Daniel Negreanu with 6 high.
Feels good.
That was fun. Yeah.
Feels good, man.
It feel pretty good. Feels better now.
Well, yeah. Fuck that guy, am I
Feels
right?
better now than it did at the time. That's for sure.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of blind versus blind, we had an interesting spot. Our hero Brent Hanks died in the
he did die.
In the 3300 in Texas.
I
think he got 6th place for 80K. This was on Monday. I might be throwing Guapo
run.
for a loop here. I don't know if I gave him this asset or not, but it's definitely in the podcast chat. For what it's worth, people were complaining when we play the clips small like this.
That's what I said.
Okay.
I'm just saying, but
Well, I think it's okay for like putting up a tweet, but if it's a video, then
yeah, they want the full screen for the video.
full screen.
But I can walk you guys through this one. The only thing I'm unsure of is stack sizes. So once we have full screen, wow, that's crazy that the quality is so low.
I can't see Hanks's stack size, but I think.
Yeah, I don't know why
probably
the countdown timer is there. But I think that they're close in chips, and I think he started with about 20 bigs. So the way this went is limp check, 10-6 suited off 20. This is pure check or mix?
Yeah, it feels like pure check.
Okay.
Your raises are going to be really like you're basically
Polar.
never. Yeah, the only suited hands you're going to raise here are going to be value that's calling off a check jam. Like
Right.
You're never going to raise fold a suited hand here. You're just going to raise offsuit stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know much deeper this hand starts to get into the raising range.
Yeah, it's going to mix at depth, but not.
Okay, so we see 9-4 deuce rainbow. Jonathan bets 1 big blind. Hanks goes for the cheeky little raise here. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, I feel like if we're going to have raises here, which we probably can have some of, I don't think we need to make it bigger than 3x like he did. I think we're just like, we're shallow enough that our value doesn't need to try super hard by raising. So I think we can just basically make it like, he made it 475. I think we can make it like 350.
Okay, yeah, so like 2 1/4.
Yeah,
2 1/3.
Yeah, we're just basically, we're targeting his bluffs on the flop. Like we're just trying to like get him to fold out his random overcard c-bet hands, like his just auto bet folds.
With no backdoors type of stuff. Yeah.
I think this is an okay hand to do this with because we do get some better 6x and some better 10x to fold, but I don't think we need to go big-ish with the size.
Yeah, my feedback to him was unsure about flop, maybe a low frequency raise, probably just a straight call, and then I can't think of a single hand in range that would jam turn.
Yeah, turn jam is a little bit of a torch. Does it? What's the SPR on turn?
1.
Yeah, about 1.
It becomes brutal because I don't know what else to do with 10-6 of hearts. So that means in my head, it's just a pure check back.
It looked like, just from the footage, it looked like he bet called off.
He did. He left himself like one blind.
Oh, so he did
left
the,
the-
okay,
left-
so he
left
did
a
the
little
leave
bit
a little
back,
bit.
yeah.
Okay.
But that doesn't even make sense in that spot because no one else is in the hand.
Yeah, I think you kind of want to check back that hand.
I think so.
I think with ICM, I think you want to check back that hand, and I think that you want to have some bluffs, but you want to bluff for a small size, like 2E, which
Yep.
I guess would be like 1/3.
Yeah.
And you want to do it with a polar range that can have easy bet folds and easy bet calls.
Yeah, like Jack 10's a bluff. No, Jack 10 even has a gut shot. So like Queen 10.
If you raised all of your 10-6 with a backdoor on the flop, and then you reach the turn with 10-6 of the other suits,
Sure.
and you bet there, that's fine to just bet fold that hand. I think 10-6 of hearts has too much equity.
Yeah, I think even bigger problem, or not a bigger problem, but also the problem with choosing your other 10-6s, even though I agree with you because they are gut shots and they make for nice triples, they also block a lot of the bet call check folds, right?
That's
like
true.
you're gonna have a lot of 6x with backdoors in Jonathan's range.
Yeah.
That like bet call check folds.
Although there's less of that when you go bigger at the raise size.
That's
on the
true.
flop.
That's true.
Like
But
feel
if we follow the
Yeah,
pattern of
right,
what we
yeah.
should be raising,
Yeah, I think
size-wise,
I think that in practice, it's probably going to be the case that Jonathan's range, I think, when he bet calls the flop, I don't imagine he doesn't have a pair very often. Like I think he just mostly has at least a pair, or some kind of a draw. I think that if you go smaller, maybe he floats sometimes with some backdoor stuff, like some combo backdoor stuff and some stronger ace highs. But
I mean, he's still getting 3.5 to 1 on a call on
yeah,
the flop.
but ICM wise though, when stacks are close to equal, it's really, really tough to just float.
You think
when
like his suited aces, stuff like that, just like all pitching?
that stuff just jams pre a lot. Like it
Just
doesn't-
open jams for 20?
Yeah, I think a lot of it will.
Okay, that's fair. That was also my feedback to Brent was that like I was a little bit leery of the flop raise because so many of the hands that would be value on this board just jam or raise pre. Right? Like we probably don't have very much ace 9, maybe some but not much. Almost no 4s. Maybe deuces, but I don't know.
Well, the reason why I think we can have some raises on the flop still is because when it's a limped pot, we have
9-4, 9 deuce,
We have
4
all
deuce.
the 2 pair.
Yeah,
we have
yeah,
all
right.
the offsuit 2 pairs, and we have a bunch of like single 9x hands that can
Agreed.
raise.
Yeah, I agree
So
with that.
facing one big blind, like a 9 can raise. We can have 9-3 off and just raise. Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. But so much of that's going to want to check back turn, and then when you're looking at
Yeah.
the 2 pairs, none of it wants to
And I
jam.
think that's why we want to. That's why we raise small on the flop because we're mostly raising for denial and for the opportunity to check back the turn.
Right.
We're not really raising to play for stacks on the turn.
Right,
There's
right.
very few hands there that actually
Agreed.
are. So I would say smaller raise on the flop, and then I think with this particular candidate we check back turn. I think with other candidates. We can have some bets on turn, but there's not a lot that really wants to jam turn, honestly, because your value isn't vulnerable there, right?
Right.
The spots where you're wanting to jam all in on a street before the river from in position, it's the spots where your value is vulnerable, but your value here, the value that you're betting on the turn is 2 pair plus, which means it's not vulnerable because there's some bad rivers, but there's none that you're actually going to like fold 2 pair, right? It's not a
Correct.
scary enough board that you're suddenly going to fold 9 deuce on the river. So
Right.
you just don't really have to jam turn.
Yeah, I think all of that is pretty valid. Good to see him get out there, though. These are the
Absolutely.
kind of errors that I could see myself making, so it makes me feel a little bit better about being the other down bad player. Although, like, I think I have a newfound understanding of blind versus blind play just because I'm playing so much same blind game,
Yeah.
right? I'm playing so much 100-100 that I've just gotten really good at having some concept of how ranges move, and that carries over a lot in like so much of this play by Brent is predicated off of how much of each range exits pre, right?
Yeah.
Like so much of his range exits pre in this sort of scenario. Like so many of the good hands, no overpairs in this scenario, no sets really. Maybe he has deuces. I'm not really sure if deuces just play jam versus limp here.
Do you mean in Brent's range?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting. I think you're right that Brent is not supposed to have overpairs, but there will be a good amount of relatively strong like ace highs and strong suited 9x that doesn't really want to jam pre at 20 with with heavy ICM.
Yeah.
So I think you're right that there's not like, he doesn't have probably the low pocket pairs. But there's a bunch of weird dynamics that go on when you start to add ICM, because it's going to alter what Jonathan's range looks like too, right?
Yes.
And the limping range for Jonathan here, depending on the exact distribution of stacks and depending on exactly, you know, how deep everybody else is and things like that, it's plausible that if he covers Brent, he's possibly not supposed to limp anything.
Right.
So him limping King 9 off here could actually be a mistake in itself.
Right,
in fact, I'm surprised he didn't jam it, because I think if you cover the big blind like 15 to 20 effective, King 9 off is the type of hand that plays well as a jam.
What if you guys are both higher up in the ICM? Like, what if they're both like 3 and 4, or 2 and 3?
I mean, I think that all that's really going to do is it's just going to increase Brent's risk premium. So
Right.
it's going to actually, it's going to mean
He has
that
to call so much tighter.
he's going to fold even more King 10,
Right.
King Jack, etc.
And what if you're like lower, like 5 and 6 of 6?
Then now, like, I mean, I think basically when you're dealing with, like, was that a final table spot?
Yeah. There was 6 remaining.
If you're at a final table spot, I don't think the exact distribution of stacks is going to alter the strategy for that spot that much, because I think the fact that Jonathan covers Brent is going to trump everything else.
Right.
But I think if you're looking at earlier on in a tournament with lower risk premiums, King 9 off is like, it's going to mix. It's probably going to mix all three, honestly. It's going to mix raises, calls, jams. But if it limps, it's limping like to trap against worse kings that jam and just call off. Or King 9 suited is going to limp call for 20 sometimes. King 9 off, like, maybe a lot less so. But with ICM, weird stuff starts to happen. And I think for sure if this is a spot where if Jonathan covers Brent by, what did he cover him by, like a few big
maybe
blinds?
a couple blinds, yeah.
A couple blinds? Okay, so they're relatively close together. And you said they were 5 and 6 of 6?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just asking, like, in that scenario.
So I think that the exact distribution of stacks is going to matter, because it's going to alter how much that, you know, tiny covering margin counts for, basically. But I do think it's probably the case that Jonathan is supposed to play a relatively high frequency raise strategy here for like a small size,
Right.
and just apply pressure to Brent, not do a ton of limping. But it's tough, because when risk premiums for both players are high, it becomes kind of like a weird game of chicken, you know? So it kind of becomes a spot where both players are incentivized to let it go limp check a little bit more as well. So it's an interesting spot. I think that, I think Jonathan obviously played it fine, although you could definitely make the argument that Jonathan has incentive to just be jamming the flop versus Brent's raise.
I was going to say, I think, I was going to ask if he had raised smaller, would Jonathan have clicks? Like
Probably.
3-bet clicks? And
Probably,
I was
yeah.
like pretty confident that he would. So maybe versus the bigger size, like, seems like all-in's kind of nice with 1-to-1 SPR.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's tricky to run these spots with, you know, with ICM, because you have to like plug all the stuff into PO and things like that. You have to look at the pre-flop, and then you have to go into PO and stuff. But I would think versus big raise size, we probably play some jams. Versus small raise size, we probably play some clicks. The tricky part is, if we're playing clicks, I don't know if this hand wants to click, because this hand kind of prefers to deny the equity to those bluffs and overcards.
Right.
The clicks might be like the really strong stuff and then just absolute garbage.
Right.
You know? It's possible that versus a small raise, we might have clicks and jams. I just feel like a top pair like this, that a lot of his bluffs are going to at least have like 1 or 2 overcards. And when risk premiums are really, really high, there's a big incentive to deny equity.
Yeah.
I think we possibly just want to put more chips in on the flop, or alternatively, I think there's a pretty good reason to play a very high check frequency as Jonathan as well. I don't think we bet the flop very often.
Playing check to check raise?
With King 9, probably yes.
Yeah, it seems too weak to, or sorry, too strong to.
Yeah, I think
to not just
you can obviously
chips.
have check raises, but I think that the fact that 9-4 deuce rainbow is a board where Brent now has all the 2 pairs and you have none of them,
Right.
is significant for Jonathan's strategy. And I don't think that covering him by 2 bigs it's probably not enough to allow us to just like auto bet here on these types of low boards.
Yeah.
I think if it was like a queen high, king high board, like any board with one Broadway card on it, it's a little bit easier to have a lot more bets.
Right.
But low card board, 3 low cards like this, even though it's not very connected, like I would probably want to have a fair amount of checks here.
Yeah, I could see that being the case. Hopefully, Brent was saying he was going to talk to Chewy about it. I know
He's a great one to ask.
Yeah, for sure. I know
Not going to be wrong very often. When you talk to Chewy. Occupy is a very different thing.
Octopi just launched their full version. They were in beta for the past handful of months. So maybe this actually just makes it onto their database. It's part of the PGT, so it could be.
Yeah, I guess it would.
So it could be an interesting one for Chewy to dissect. Good.
My bad. I was about to give a little shout out to Lady Gaga.
Okay.
Tom Brady. Ren Lin himself.
Your boy.
The God. He just does it again. He wins the 3,500 down in Texas for 400,000.
He did it.
He's just a goat, man. He just has fun. You know, he talks a lot of shit.
Wait, with this round number for first, did they miss the guarantee?
That's what I was thinking.
That's interesting. I wonder. Can you click the read more, Guapo?
Maybe they chopped? They chop?
No, it was 400K up top for sure. Can you just like scroll through there and see how many entries they had, if it says anywhere? Yeah, big shout out to Ren Lin. He's obviously a tour regular, one of Conrad's favorites.
He's one of everybody's favorites, man. How do you not love Ren Lin?
I've never played with him. Conrad spent a whole day going just out of the blue. He goes, Lady Gaga. We're all looking at him like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I've never played with him.
35 runners.
735. Okay, so they correct the guarantee. 3K.
Okay. I've never played with him either.
million.
I've just seen him on streams, and he's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun out there.
Seems like a lot of fun.
He's great.
Although I don't know how someone gets to the point where they have Lady Gaga and Tom Brady as their nicknames. Like those are two very different people.
It's not his nicknames. He just says that.
No, I know. I'm doing a bit, Conrad.
What does Tom Brady mean?
He used to just go touchdown Tom Brady, but I didn't know. I think it was when he won pots. I don't know. Him and Landon had a big day together in Florida. Where they were just,
They had a big day together.
yeah, they just had like a date in one of the fucking Florida events where they were just shooting the shit. Touchdown Tom Brady every 5 minutes. I think they were like side betting on something. I don't know.
That sounds annoying.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Sounds like a
that's why I play
blast.
cash, man. Like people annoy me, I just talk shit to them. And then
The one time I've been at a table with Landon, he was dead silent. Like he didn't even like say hello to me when I sat down, like to his left, like 2 seats to his left or whatever. He was just like in the zone.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine him being out there and like playing along with Ren Lin and everything, because I've never seen him not in that focused mode at the table.
He's a clown, man. When he played on fucking Bally Live, he was laughing while tripling off.
I remember that. Actually.
That was fucking hilarious.
I guess all I'm saying is whenever I've seen him on stream is totally different to the one experience I had of playing with him in person. It was very weird. Fair.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're an intimidating force there, Matt Hunt.
I doubt it was that.
Don't.
I think it was the latter stages of day one of the Win 3K a few weeks back, and he was like pretty short, and I think he was kind of over it for the day. So I don't think he felt like talking very much.
I've definitely been there. I know that feeling all too well.
I played with Landon one time. He tried to catch a black man speeding.
Did it work?
Fuck no! I had quads or something stupid. He was just dead. I was just fucking. I did something wild.
Really living up to that fake action pro profile.
Always has it.
The one hand Connie and I have played together. He bluffed me or tried to.
I tried
didn't get
to.
through.
No.
Blind on blind, tripled off.
All right, P. I'll see you guys later. What's next? Is Rebuy still open?
All right.
I didn't bust you.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. The next time you hear from me, I'll be in Milwaukee, getting the hell out of here, far, far, far away from Conrad. We got a meetup game tomorrow, noon at Potawatomi. God, so close. Potawatomi.
I like that pronunciation.
We're going to be playing all the types of carnival games, mid-stakes, 2-5, 1-3, everything that you could ever want to dabble in. Me, myself, Jamin Burton and Jamie Kerstetter are all going to be out there splashing around, so be sure to come and join us. Also, the grand opening of the sportsbook will be happening Friday morning, I believe around noon, but I'm not exactly positive on the time. In any event, looking forward to seeing all your beautiful faces there. We're going to be taking the next 2 days off, so Thursday, Friday, we will be on a break, but we'll be back.
Speaking of getting away from Berkey,
Go ahead.
May 14th, I'll be in Montreal for a meetup game with WPT. Come hang out. May
They're sending you to
14th
Canada?
at noon. They're sending me to Canada.
Wow.
I hope
Hey?
they keep him.
Whoa.
Conrad's international.
They're too nice.
What
for
are the
me.
chances Conrad gets into some kind of border trouble?
No way.
Greater than 0.
All right, guys,
Losing
listen.
his passport,
Conrad-
something like that.
Conrad, bring me back some maple syrup. Berkey, bring me back some cheese.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
I'll be a happy man.
I'm not
You're gonna
coming.
eat the two of them together.
I'll
Maple syrup
tell you
and
right
cheese
now,
sounds kind
I'm
of gross.
not coming to the Montreal border to fucking get you.
That's what we got tortoise for.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad he knows his man because no fucking
All the
chance.
way to Canada, it's going to take me a decade to get up there.
Help! I'm stuck at the border.
By the time you get to Canada, Connie will have found himself a whole new career, a whole new life. He'll just be off in Canada living his life.
All right, May 14th,
God.
you're going to find Conrad at the Playground Casino. Don't forget, by the time he gets back, we'll be running 2 academies. May 23rd to the 25th is cash. May 26th to the 27th.
Nope, 27th.
7th to 30th.
Whatever.
Yeah.
27th to the 30th, 26th. How many days off do we get?
We get one.
Not
right,
a
one
lot.
day.
Listen, I know why you do this because you just want people to go to academy.software.io so they can see the real dates.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a little
absolutely
manager for you, baby.
We'll see you guys all Monday. I promise we'll do better.
Play the
Peace.
squad.